Hello, hello. Night, evening. How are you guys doing? Hey, show poodles. How are you tonight? So glad that you're here. I thank you for all the prayers. I really do. Um, things are actually, I believe, working out for the better. The other night, I done a live on my son because I was really irritated and had to get some things off my back about how he had been treated. But we had a meeting the other day, and um, they said basically they were going to roll out the red carpet for my son. Got there, everything worked out. He is only in high school, folks, but he is going to receive scholarships to go where he wants to go. And they called a few colleges while we were there and gave his name. So this is a happy, happy mama. Tonight, we're going to dive really, 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 really deep into a few things. I wanted to read an article about a little girl first that I think is in Maryland. Thank you, show poodles. I have a few in the bushes here, but hopefully everybody will come up and talk on the chat. Good to have y'all. Anyways, there's a little girl in Maryland we're going to talk about. But the second part of my live, it may be a little bit long tonight if my baby girl stays asleep. We are going to talk about some things not a lot of people talk about, and I'm going to show a video. I'll just say that my religion, I'm a Christian, okay? I respect everybody that has different religions. I'm not calling anyone's religion wrong or right. On YouTube, I have my beliefs and everybody else has their beliefs. But I wanted to bring in something concerning a group of people, and I do believe there's good and bad in all groups of people, all walks of life. Okay? So please don't take it wrong. If you have a family member that belongs to this group, but it might be very informative and interesting to hear what this ex person of this group, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Sorry, there's an airplane going over. There's always some sort of distraction. Hi, Christy Smith. Come on in. Come on in. I just want to give trigger warnings because there's a lot of things that could be trigger warnings. You may have family members in these groups, because there are a lot of people. I know people that belong to these groups. They may not know what they're walking into. Their group may not do these things, but according to this gentleman, it's wild. Okay. It is very, very wild. I'm going to show you guys. Let's see. About this little girl. And this is crazy. But let me try to pull this up. It's actually pretty sick, in my opinion. Let's see. I want to make sure I've got the correct one. That's all the way opened. Let's see here. Let's pray that my internet works correctly because certain spots on my back deck, my internet will not come in good. So we're going to add this to stage, guys. And I'm going to go over to this. And I'm going to read this to you guys. This is People. Looks like People magazine. Credit to little girl on July 11, 2025. Little girl was found wrapped in saran wrap inside a suitcase. Now both mom and boyfriend face charges. Nola Dinkins was allegedly BEATEN to D by her mother, police claim. Hang on, first off, look at that sweet little face, man. Look at that sweet little face. How can a monster do that? Need to know. Nola Dinkins' mother reported her kidnapped before her remains were found in a suitcase. Her mother, Darian Randall, was arrested on M charges. Randall's boyfriend, Cedric Antoine Britton, has been arrested on child abuse charges. Authorities in Maryland arrested a man on child abuse charges nearly a month after his girlfriend's child's body was found inside a suitcase. 3-year-old Nola Dinkins' mother, Darian Randall, reported her kidnapped on June 10th. The Maryland State Police said in a statement the following day. After an Amber Alert was issued, law enforcement officials were dispatched to Randall's last known address in Northeast Maryland, where they encountered her boyfriend, 41-year-old Cedric Antoine Britton. Per the statement, there is a helicopter coming over, and it looks like a police helicopter, guys. Sorry. Investigators found indication of potential crime activity and soon located human remains in a vacant lot in Northeast Maryland, the statement said. Sorry, guys. Gotta turn the light on. MSP confirmed to People on Friday, July 11th, that the remains have been positively identified as those of Nola. Hang on. It's horrible. Randall was arrested after the initial investigation on charges of first and second degree and first degree of child abuse resulting in death of a minor under 13, among other offenses, MSP said in their statement. Britton was charged with accessory to first and second degree after the fact and failure to report the child death, among other related criminal charges. According to online court records reviewed by People, Britton was arrested on those charges on Wednesday, July 2nd. So, there's the mommy, the monster, and the boyfriend. During the initial investigation, Britton allegedly drew a map for officers that led them to Nola's body, which police found inside a suitcase, according to charging documents cited by WBAL-TV. Nola was emaciated and her body had been completely wrapped in saran wrap. WBAL-TV and NBC 10 reported, citing the charging document and officials respectively. Randall allegedly admitted to beating Nola with a belt on June 9th at Britton's home until the child was unconscious. Lord, guys, these people need to go under the jail. According to court documents cited by NBC 10 and WBAL-TV, she allegedly told investigators the couple then drove around with Nola's body before returning to the residence, putting her body inside a suitcase, which then left on the basement stairs, per police, according to the documents. The following day, Randall allegedly told police Britton helped her dispose of the child's body. There is a GoFundMe set up for Nola's father to help arrange her funeral and assist with associated costs. Britton is facing 11 charges related to Nola's death, including child abuse resulting in death, child abuse, child neglect, and accessory to M after the fact. Online court records did not indicate plea and attorney information for him. If you suspect child abuse, call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4-A-CHILD or 1-800-422-4453 or go to www.childhelp.org. All calls are toll-free and confidential. The hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. Okay. That is horrendous. Hello, Seclusion Works. There's my friend, Lil Sharon. I know this is a good person then. Hi, Miss Sharon. Yes, Seclusion. I hope I'm a good person. You can ask them if I am or not. Oh, hugs to you. Yeah, show poodles. Emancipated. That is beyond sickening to me. Okay, guys, this that I want to talk about next. I'm going to pull a video, and we will only listen to probably about 10 to 15 minutes of this video. Cooking tacos for daughter. I'm coming to your house. Actually, we had to order Taco Bell by DoorDash a while ago because we were starving and I didn't want to cook. The kitchen had done been cleaned. But anyways, yeah, their little one in seclusion. It's sick. It's a sick, demented world, you know. Next, I've been debating on talking about this or not because so many people are in this group, and I want to make sure you guys know I'm not saying this group is bad. I'm not saying that I know anything about it. It's just what I've heard on the internet. So, you know, it's speculation, opinion only. I know one of my subs, I think, has a husband that's in this group. Hello, Panda Bear's mom. How are you? It's the Freemasons. Okay. And I found this video of this ex-Freemason, and he is explaining things. As you know, Freemasons evidently are not supposed to talk about secretive things that go on, I guess, at the meetings or the initiations or anything there from my understanding. Hang on just a second, guys. I'm going to check on my little one. I'm going to put you guys on this video, and I want you to listen closely. But I also want you to know that, you know, this is speculation. This is coming from a gentleman that says that he was in it. He talks about all kinds of different religions in this. Okay, and like I said, I'm a Christian, but there's all kinds of religions out there. I'm not putting it down. You know, everybody has their own thing. But this guy wanted to be a priest in the Catholic Church, and the way he was drugged into some demonic things is mind-blowing. Okay, and you guys may have seen this video or seen this guy, but I wanted you guys to see this because this is the craziest, wildest thing I've ever seen, to be honest. I never knew this. And, you know, my husband's a pastor, so we know about all different religions. So hang on just a second. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see. Okay. I can't see it yet, but let me start at the beginning. My internet's running very, very, very slow. I guess location that I'm in. Okay, why is it playing the sound when I'm not got it going? I had this problem the other day. Hang on, guys. Ugh, I don't understand why it's playing when there's nothing playing. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's go back. Sorry. Hold that bucket helps yourself. Pretzels. I love pretzels. But I love the soft pretzels. Let's see. Okay, let's see if we can play this now. Good grief, guys. Okay, I'm going to let this play and then we'll stop for comments, but listen closely. And credit goes to Almost False podcast.
Spirituality, one of them being Freemasonry. He became a 33rd degree Mason, was part of high-level secret societies, and he is not afraid to share what he's not supposed to talk about. So I took this opportunity to ask him as much as I could in the limited time that we had. No matter how much you know or don't know about Freemasonry, I can almost guarantee you that you'll learn a lot from this interview, as everything that is shared here is in some way related to it. Get ready to have your mind blown by Mr. Bill Sneblin as he shares a dark journey that him and his wife took and the unsettling things that they uncovered along the way.
When I got to college, and again, I wanted to be a priest. This was a minor seminary college, Loras College. At the time, it was a minor seminary. It isn't anymore. I had a priest in my theology class who had a doctorate in theology, and he was teaching a course in Christology. Because again, I was wanting to be a priest. And he took me aside, and he said, if you want to be a priest, in the Catholic Church, it's taught, sacerdotes est altus Christus, the priest is another Christ. So if you want to be like Christ, he says to me, do you want to be like Christ? And I says, well, of course. Doesn't every Christian want to be like Christ? He said, well, if you want to be like Christ, you need to do what Christ did. And again, that made sense. And again, nowadays we've kind of become suspicious about priests. But this was like 1968. And a priest was like God. I mean, whatever the priest said, that was it, And he said, well, if you want to be like Christ, you need to do what he did. And he went to the East and studied with the gurus in India. He went and studied with the lamas in Tibet. He went to Egypt and studied with the magicians there. That's how he was able to raise the dead, to walk on water, to do all these miracles. So he says, what you need to do is you need to start studying the occult. And this is a priest telling me this. And so I thought, okay, now mind you, this is obviously decades before there was an internet. I mean, there was a little bookstore downtown. And I went there and I found a few scattering books on like the occult. And I found this book that was called Diary of a Witch by Sybil Leek. And she was one of the very first witches to, so to speak, come out of the broom closet. She was a British woman, and she was a medium. And anyhow, I read the book, and she was asserting in the book that witches were not evil, that this was an ancient pagan mystery religion. Among other things, she claimed that Jesus was a witch, and his 12 apostles were his coven, along with their wives, So I kind of bought into that. And I found out about this guy, Alex Sanders, who was the supposed king of the witches over in London. I sent him a letter. This is around 1968, 69. And his wife sent me back a thing. Okay, here's a coven in Rockford, Illinois, which is about 90 minutes from Dubuque. I went there and I got initiated as a witch. And then later on, I hooked up with an Alexandrian coven in Boston, and I was made a witch high priest. Started covens in, first of all, in Dubuque, where I was, and then moved to Milwaukee because there was a fellow there who had an occult bookstore, because Milwaukee's a huge city. And he said, I've got all these people that want to become witches. Can you come and teach them?
When we're talking about like you being in a coven and you doing witchcraft, I just want to make sure that we don't skip over that part. Like, what kind of witchcraft are we talking about? Because there's a lot of
it was okay. Witchcraft originally, the kind of publicly available witchcraft was originally started by Gerald Gardner, and he came out. Witchcraft became legal in England. It was a crime until 1951. It was made legal, and he claimed, and all of this is disputed, but he claimed that he came in contact with an ancient coven of witches in the New Forest region of England. They initiated him and then made him a high priest, and he went off and initiated other people. Then there's this other bunch, this Alex Sanders fellow. He also claims to have been initiated by an ancient line of witches by his grandmother. So those were the two main fountainheads of witchcraft in the 60s. Both were from England, but both had, spread to America. And it was white witchcraft. Both groups, their rituals were virtually identical. And but the Alexandrian group that I was in was more into ceremonial magic, which is like kind of, if in like Protestantism, they have the distinction between high church and low church. Well, Alexandrian is more high church witchcraft. But we didn't believe in the devil. We didn't think we were worshiping the devil. We thought we were worshiping a goddess, a moon goddess, and a horn god. So it was like ditheism, if you will, two deities. And we didn't believe in demons. We just believed that it was all this nature, airy fairy, gathering herbs in the forest and dancing in the nude. And, it all sounds very innocent. Except there's, especially in the Alexandrian rite, there's also some sex magic that's involved. So does that kind of answer your question?
Yes. Thank you for clarifying. I just wanted to make sure that we got that covered. So actually, let's go back to the occult bookstore that you were talking about, and let's pick up the story from there.
Well, so anyway, so we hooked up with this fellow in the basement of the store. We would hold these classes. They were packed because there were all these people. And again, this was 1972. And, there was all these people who are kind of like quasi hippies, and they wanted to get into the occult and magic and blah, blah, blah. The other thing that happened at the same time is that we encountered this fellow called Eli, who was a Grandmaster Druid of North America. And Druids are a little bit different than witches. It's kind of like the difference between being a Baptist and being a Methodist, And we were invited down to Arkansas, which is where this fellow lived. He had lived on top of a mountain. He had kind of a what do you call it, a organic farm there. And we went through the whole summer, got all this occult training. We were, high priests in Druidism by the time we got done. At one point, I understand this fellow that owned the occult bookstore, he was kind of a manipulative guy who was very, he was older than me, very cunning. He told me, he took me aside and he said, if you really want to understand magic, you need to read this book. And he handed me the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. And I said, well, why would I want to read the Satanic Bible? Witches don't believe in Satan. And he said, well, just read the book. And LaVey's contention was that magic is really about Satan. But Satan is like an archetype, he said. There is no real Satan, but it's like an energy, egregore, an archetype that you can draw upon. And
back to sleep.
It kind of made sense to me. And again, the devil was gradually pulling me in. like the whole thing about the camel getting its nose into the tent before you know it, the camel's in there. So I wrote the Church of Satan. At that time, I was in San Francisco. I became a member, a first-degree member. And then later on, I went through some exams and studies, and I became a warlock, which was a second-degree member of the Church of Satan. And at this also, I should say this, because this is critical. This Eli guy, the Grand Druid down in Arkansas, he gave us 2 words of advice. First of all, he said, if you really want to understand Luciferian energy, you need to join the Freemasonic order. And he himself was a 33rd degree Mason. He showed me his little certificate he got. He also told me that if you ever felt like we were in deep spiritual trouble, that I should join the Mormon Church, because it was a church that had been started by witches, for witches, that we could hang out in and pretend to be nice. The image of the Mormon Church. They're straight, nice, wonderful, all-American people with happy families and white picket fences and, all of that. But secretly, they believe almost the same doctrines that witches believe. And we can get into that if you want. But anyhow, so he gave us that advice. And again, this was in the early 70s. So I joined the Masonic Lodge, became a Master Mason at the same time as I was a Satanist and a witch. And only our inner circle of the witches that we by this time, we've initiated over 100 witches. And only our inner circle knew that we were also Satanists. And we were continuing in this, and I finally figured out that there was a deeper level of Satanism. And I got in touch with some of them. And again, there was no internet. We had to do all this by mail and whatnot. And there was a group in Michigan called the Order of the Black Ram, which is like more hardcore satanic stuff. There was another group in Chicago called The Brotherhood. And I got involved with them because they were closer, because Milwaukee's just up the road about 90 miles from Chicago. And I got really, I sold my soul to the devil. That's how deep I got into this stuff.
Yeah. Before we actually get to that part, I want to make sure to take some time to talk about Freemasonry, because Freemasonry, it's very rare to actually talk about to talk to former Masons, because it's something that you're not supposed to talk about. So it's kind of an opportunity while I have you here to kind of, for me personally, to learn, but also for the people to kind of have a knowledge about what Freemasonry is. You said that you became a Master Mason. Can you explain how the degrees and the lodges are set up in Freemasonry so people actually understand what we're talking about?
Well, the basic thing is what's called the Blue Lodge. And that consists of 3 degrees: entered apprentice, fellow craft, and Master Mason. A lot of Masons never go any further than that. I did. But basically, it's like an initiatory process. The requirements are you have to, at that time, now mind you, I think I joined in 75. You had to be a man, freeborn, of good report, and well recommended. So they asked you if you believe in God, and I said yes, I did. And they didn't ask which God I believed in. They just, do you believe in God? And I said yes. I didn't tell them that the God I believed in had horns. So anyhow, I went through there's this whole process. You do a lot of memory work, they call it. You memorize all of these ritual things. You have a mentor who's called your poster, who's an older Mason. And the guy that I had was a real, very kind guy, an executive in the power company. I can't remember the name of the company. And he helped me memorize all this stuff. And then you go to 2nd degree, and then you have a whole bunch of stuff to memorize. And just let me touch this briefly, because people ask me, well, at what point does Masonry start to look creepy? I mean, because there's tons of Christians that are Masons, literally thousands of them. And I just asked them, how can you do that? I mean, because when you start out as a Mason, they make you come to the lodge, they make you take off all your clothes except your undies. They put you in this like jammies. They're like, they're like pajamas. They're like typically the one knee is bare and one breast is bare, your left breast, and I think your right knee. And you're blindfolded. You have a cable around your neck. It's like a velvet, they call it a cable tow. It's like a velvet blue rope. And you're tied up. And you're led to the door of the lodge. And you've got a guy leading you, because of course you're blindfolded. He knocks on the door, and somebody on this is all ritualized. And the guy on the other side says, "Who comes here?" And your guy who's guiding you, who's a lodge officer, he says, "Mr. Bill Sneblin, who has been long in darkness, and now seeks to be brought to light, to receive the rights and benefits of the worshipful lodge erected to God as all members have done before." And I asked Mr. Christian, Mr. Pastor, Mr. Elder, because there's, like it used to be, I don't know if it still is, it used to be 40% of the pastors in a Southern Baptist convention were Freemasons. And how can you say that you're in darkness when you have Jesus in your heart? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, that's not it. You go into the lodge, you're led around, like they call it circumambulation. You walk around the lodge. They have these officers, the junior warden, the senior warden at the different, things of the compass. And in the east is the worshipful master, who's like the big cheese. Then you're made to kneel at this altar. Again, you're still blindfolded. And you're made to understand that you're putting your hands on this huge, it's like a pulpit Bible, big King James Bible. And this guy comes forward, this worshipful master, and he says, we're going to lead you through this oath. And I'm not going to go through the whole oath because it takes like 5 minutes, but it's this long, involved, and ultimately blood-curdling oath. At the end, you say, you swear, the essence of the oath is to keep the secrets of an entered apprentice Mason, which of course I'm violating right now. And then at the end, you swear that if I should ever reveal the secrets of an entered apprentice Mason, that I swear that I will have my throat cut across, my tongue torn out by the roots, and buried in the sands of the sea, where the tide ebbs and flows twice in 24 hours, should I ever knowingly violate this, my entered apprentice obligation. So help me God, and keep me steadfast to the due performance of the same. Now, if you were a Christian pastor or whatever, wouldn't that kind of raise the hair on the back of your neck?
Yeah, I think it was raise the head on the back of the necks of pretty much most people just to hear that.
Yeah. And then at that point, the worshipful master says, "My brother, in your current situation, what do you most desire?" And then the guy that's with you, that he's a senior warden, says, "Light," whispers it in your ear. And I say, "Light." And then they remove the blindfold. And you see before you this big open Bible with a square and compass on it. And those represent the three great lights of Masonry: the Bible, the square, and the compass. And then they are revealed by the three lesser lights of Masonry, which are three burning tapers that are adjacent to the altar. Now, that's the most mild initiation. From there on, they get more and more creepy. So I don't know how deep you want to go into this, but basically, Masonry is an antichrist thing. It claims it's not religious, but it is. They play around with it because they say, "Oh, well, we're just religious, but we're not a religion." Because if they were a religion, then if you were already a Christian, you shouldn't join another religion. Most Christians would say that. Like, if you're a Christian, you wouldn't become a Buddhist.
Right.
Well, Masonry is a religion. I mean, it has all the qualities. That's what I tell people. If you look at Webster's dictionary, there's three things that make something a religion, according to Webster. Number one, something has a belief in some sort of deity. Masonry has that. Number two, that belief is expressed in some sort of ritual. And Masonry is full of ritual. I mean, that's pretty much all it is. And then the third quality is it has a system of some sort of ethics or morality, and Masonry has that. So Masonry is a religion, and it's an antichrist religion. And the problem is that basically, if you drill down into this deep enough and read the books that are written by people like Albert Pike, like Albert Mackey. These are two, or Arthur Edward Waite. These are three prominent scholars of 19th century, early 20th century Masonry. And all of them were occultists. Arthur Edward Waite, he wrote a book on black magic and pacts, how to sell your soul to the devil. And in my book, shameless plug, this is an older edition. This is the first edition. It looks different now. But in my book, I document how almost every single leading occult person of the late 19th and early 20th century was a Freemason. They just go together like, love and marriage.
Okay, guys. So Joe's going to get wild. Hello, Megan L. How are you? Show poodles, they do. I don't care for the edit on hot coffee. I told you guys it was going to be a wild ride tonight, didn't I? I just like to research and hear things like this. I'm not saying he's correct. I'm just saying that I found this and I thought it was very interesting. Thought that you guys might want to look some things like that up. Guys, there's a lot that I found. Like I said, there's good and bad in all groups. So, if you have a family member that is a Freemason, I'm not saying that they're bad and that they're doing the things this guy says, but this was his experience, allegedly. So I just wanted to bring that in, and I wanted to show you a few other things. If I can find it, let me close this out of my pay grade for sure. I have no clue about this, but I saw that. Show poodles. Hey, Ann Reynolds, getting sleepy. Gonna go now. I will watch this tomorrow. Okay, good night, Ann. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were on here. I was listening to this thing. My little one woke up, and I let that play until I wanted to stop it because it's very long. And then I laid her down. Good night, Ann. We love you. You have a good night's rest, honey. But let me see if I can find this. I know it gets kind of boring, but something I saw that was kind of interesting, and you all will think so too, I do believe, is I looked up some LE emblems that can be free Masonic. I did not know this. I'm studying the emblems and everything. So look at this. You guys see that? I don't think all emblems are, but from what I'm reading, some of the constable emblems are Masonic emblems. I want to do a study on this right here, mostly. I know in one of my Sunday school groups at church, I used to teach the teenagers on a Wednesday night. This right here. Have you guys ever heard of the All seeing eye. Have you heard of that? I want to see some people in the comments. The all-seeing eye. Have you heard of that? The Masonic all-seeing eye is supposed to be different than the regular Illuminati eye. Okay, the emblem. And I'm getting somewhere with this. But you have heard. Okay. There's a deep study into the all-seeing eye. Okay. And the Illuminati and different things concerning that. And we'll go into more detail on another night about it. But this right here, it's on our money. Okay. I don't want to get all religious on you guys, but it's on our money right there. All seeing eye. I want y'all to study in great detail on that. Okay. That is awesome. Show poodles. No cigarettes or alcohol. That's good. That's good to say, honey. Soda. That's my downfall. What is y'all's favorite soda? Mine's Dr. Pepper. I'm a Dr. Pepper. Yes, the eye above the pyramid. It's on our money, guys. Okay? And you need to look into that. And then I want to compare that with the emblem on the Masonic emblem. Because, some people can get into some things, and I'm not saying they're all bad, but I'm saying you can get into certain things that you don't realize you're getting into. Does that make sense? Dr. Pepper there too. If I could quit Dr. Pepper and I could quit chocolate, I would probably lose about 20 to 30 pounds. Ooh, Panda Bear's mom, Dr. Pepper from McDonald's. Now, I love McDonald's sweet tea. I just wanted to play that for you, and I've got other things. There was actually things that I want to step into, but I don't want to offend anyone. But I also homemade chocolate goodies. Seclusion. I make a peanut butter candy come Christmas. Have you ever heard of potato candy? You boil a potato and you mush it, and then you add powdered sugar until it thickens, and you're going to get all the clumps out. You lay it out on flour, and then you spread peanut butter on it, and you roll it up and cut it up. Also, the Mexican Coke is great. Yes, my kids love Mexican Coke. The cane sugar, yes. Cane sugar is so much better for you. But Dr. Pepper is my downfall. But yeah, I was just curious to see if you guys had ever heard of any of this, because I felt like I was in a different world when I was listening to all of it. And I may get boring. I'm sorry, but it was very, very good studies to me. And I thought it was interesting for you guys. The Canadian sodas. I've never had a Canadian soda unless you count Clearly Canadian as a Canadian soda. Those things are the bomb. I'm going to have to look those up now. Yes, Show Poodles potato candy. It sounds kind of weird, but man, oh man, it's so good. Just imagine a bunch of powdered sugar that the potato hardens, and then peanut butter, and you put in the refrigerator. That was my dad's recipe. And then I make a Twinkie pie around Thanksgiving. And that's my great grandmother's recipe. I may have to give that to you guys. Y'all like Twinkies? Oh, chocolate covered strawberries. I could eat like 10 of those right now. You're going to make me hungry, Seclusion. Stop. I'm just kidding. But no, I've not heard of any of this. I didn't want to get deep into any kind of religion because that's not where we need to be on YouTube, even though y'all know where I stand. But thought that was really wild, really, really wild. And we'll be covering more stuff. There's several things I want to get into. I'm going to collaborate with a few other creators. I'm not going to say who at the moment because we're going to have a little talk and discussion, but it's one of the, good, happy channels that's out to help missing children. You have me hooked. Are you talking about the Twinkie pie? Oh, guys, you can only have like a spoonful. Seclusion works. That's it. I'm buying a home in your neighborhood. I know, right? Sounds like they can cook. Yes, Devlin Tate. I've been meaning to write that down. Thank you, Panda Bear's mom. I do need to go into that. I've got Gary Sutton, Sebastian Rogers that I'm not going to forget about. And then we'll look into Devlin Tate. I want to look into that. Thank you, Panda Bear. Sometimes I need reminding. I'm so sorry. My mind goes 100 miles an hour. I am so OCD and ADHD, I think, that I think about 20 different things at once. I guess you have to when you have 5 kids. But I'm going to get off here, guys, and go clean. Oh, fudge. Yes, seclusion. My goodness, you're going to make me gain 30 pounds talking about it. Twinkies is made with Twinkie pie is made with Twinkies, a whole box. Okay, I'll give you the recipe next time. Cool Whip. What is it? Gosh, I can't tell. Cream cheese, strawberries, sweetened condensed milk. Okay, you all want to talk about good. It is amazing. Devlin Tate is very sad. Oh, I'm going to look that up tonight. Thank you, Kiki, for the stream info and fellowship. Yes, thank you, guys. I really do appreciate you guys. I need to grow my channel some more, guys. I'm trying to reach that 500 subscriber mark because I want to do a drawing for a gift card to send out to my sub that I draw the name. So if you guys would just go share, like, and ask your friends to subscribe, we will dive deep into other things later. I've got some things that I want to pull out again about Sebastian. Thank you, little Miss Sharon. Thank you for Kiki. Great to see you. Good to see you. Oh, I like sweetened condensed milk with a spoon out of can. Show Poodles, did you know that you can boil a can of sweetened condensed milk and it turns to caramel? It caramelizes. Now I'm going to be in my kitchen cooking tonight and waking everybody up with the smell of food. Well, guys, I love you guys. Hope you have a great night. Have a happy Sunday tomorrow. I'm going to be very busy till tomorrow evening because we have to go and have a cookout with our church and a baptism in the river. So y'all pray for that too. Yep, great stuff. Show Poodles, I don't think you're alone. Hello, Nancy Smith. We're leaving, honey. Night, and y'all have a great night, and God bless you.